What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast or webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host, as always. My name is Jimmy. And as we start off every show, that's with gratitude. Just want to say thank you to everyone that supports whatever it is we got going on because we got so many things going on. Everything from By the Hood University, the Black Wealth Project, all of our partnerships, all of the students at By the Hood University. We definitely appreciate you because it's still growing and growing and growing. And we start off all of our shows with gratitude. Just want to say thanks for that. Also, we have a new course that just dropped, Intro to Charting, with the legendary Delancha Hamilton, and a lot of folks have already grabbed that. Want to say thank you to you guys as well, and welcome to the family. But as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Corey. How are you, bro?
Yo, every day above ground is a good day. You never hear me complain about being alive.
This is true, man. This is true. So listen, our show is dedicated to highlighting brothers and sisters who are doing amazing work, who are building amazing businesses, doing amazing work in the community, and just we want to highlight them and tell their story. And this brother we got on, man, is a legend. He's a legend in the cryptocurrency space. But not only that, he's built an amazing organization that's now branched out into all kinds of things, man. And we decided as an entity, as By the Hood, to partner with this brother, and it's for a reason that we're partnering with him because what he has to offer is very unique in the marketplace. And we're all about collaboration over competition. So we have partnerships with some brilliant folks, and now we have a new partnership. We got to talk about it, but we have to have him tell his story, man. Without further ado, from DCG, we got our brother Jamar James on. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Blessed to be alive, blessed to be here. And man, I feel so much love from you inviting me onto your platform. And the partnership, man, it's gonna be real.
Yeah, man, we about to get to it. We about to get to it, man. But let's talk about you today, man. Let's talk about your story. Where are you originally from?
Man, so I like to say I was blessed to be able to be brought up in the Bay Area. I was born in Oakland, California. I lived in the Bay Area my entire life, up to 18. Growing up and being from the Bay Area, we have a lot of hood pride, a lot of pride being from the Bay, and it was always one of my aspirations to cross that bridge, and you would see people in the financial area. My entire family is blue collar workers. My mom is worked at the post office for 30 years. My dad was a trucker. My grandpa's a longshoreman. Other uncles who worked for the grocery store. So, I like to say I was middle class, even though I grew up in the hood where, my mom was on, we started off on food stamps and, sending them long lines for them block of cheese and bread. But, that was just her being young. She basically had to drop out of college to take care of me. And, the pops was a Rolling Stone, of course, being in the trucking business, you always on the road. So,
Gotcha.
I grew up in the kind of single family environment. And I see my mom struggle. We lived with different relatives, and it was always about community. So, I felt, as a kid growing up in the Bay Area, the community was real strong. The pride, of course, we don't really have gangs in the Bay. We have turfs. So, you have, when you say By the Hood, we have hoods damn on every street. Mm-hmm. And so where you grow up is kind of your environment that you're raised around. And I always had a problem with, a lot of the OGs was Black Panthers. And so, they always kind of preached to the youngins like, hey, bro, this is all you got. This is where you from. This is who you are. You take care of your own. And so I was kind of raised in that environment that, when you're growing up and you I like to say when I went to the Marines, they used to tell us, your mind is young, your mind is weak, and you're physically strong. And that's why they go after the young guys, the gangs, the Marines, the government. And as your mind develop, you realize certain things. And one of the things that, I always used to say from the Bay is like, man, I'm never leaving. This is my hood.
Mm-hmm.
I represent. And, that's kind of the conditioning and the programming we had. The best decision I made, I actually got shot a couple of times before I got out of high school. And that experience, chose me to run towards the Marine Corps. I wasn't scared. It's like, if I don't get out of here, I'm not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Best friends, none of my friends I grew up with made it out. I had one doing a life, one that got chased by the police and swallowed a bag. And so, where I'm from, I seen people didn't make it. I always felt lucky. I always felt lucky to be able to go into the Marine Corps. I went in during Desert Storm, and my thing was like when 50 Cent say, get rich or die trying. I was trying to get out the hood or die trying. Yeah. And when I joined the Marine Corps, that's really what got me outside that environment where, one of the defining moments I remember is my mom got me a job at the post office. I graduated high school when I was 16. I was in gifted classes, even though I was in public school. She put me in private school for 2 years, and we had to live with my auntie for me to have that experience. Them 2 years in that private school basically put me in advanced public school classes my whole 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and I was able to graduate a year early. And so that year early, I graduated at 16. I didn't want to keep going because, I was about money back then. Mm-hmm. And I had car payments and things like that. So college wasn't really something I was looking at. And she got me a job at the post office. I worked there for about 3.5 months. And of course, I was still hanging out on the block. And, my shift was like 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, your homies, they want to hang out. So around 5, 6 o'clock, we would hang out. And, around 10, 11 o'clock, I was like, I got to go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, one day, one night, I was out with them and I really didn't get no sleep. And I tried to drive to work and I woke up on the side of the freeway. Just the car was coasting and lucky it was no cars on the road. But sheesh. I realized that, me trying to live these both sides, like, man, I didn't even get shot. Like I was gonna die in a car accident. And that was the time that's like, I told my mom, I was like, I'm getting up out of here. I had to leave this environment. And so, I quit that job and joined the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps.
Yeah. So the one thing about your story is, which is amazing, is that, you talk about growing up in like a working class family, but they were still willing to make sacrifices for you, for your education and, to see you, move forward. So that's pretty dope. And that goes back to the sense of community and family, right?
Yeah, it's a family, like, to be real. I mean, not just like my family treated me like the golden child, okay. So my grandpa, like, looked at, I asked him for a job at Longshoreman. He was like, you too smart. They had his job. I'm not getting you a job. And so my mom got me a job, but it was against the family wishes. They was like, nah, you going to college. I had offers. I played hoop, but I couldn't maintain that environment, playing basketball and I quit because I wanted to get money. And so I could have went to San Francisco State on a scholarship. They wanted me to work in the office. So when you get a scholarship, you don't just most of the kids don't just get a free ride. You still got to work and do what they say. And so my thing is like, from that, I wanted to be free back then. I was like, man, that's not for me. Mm-hmm. And so, that's when, of course, I don't want to take orders and be free in that environment, but I go join the Marine Corps. And I just felt that was escape, and that escape, I mean, that's the first place I really got to be around other men that's outside that environment. And it really, it's probably the best decision of my life.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you next. How did the Marine Corps shape who you are today? How did that experience of the Marine Corps shape you?
Bro, like, being from the neighborhood, it is take care of yourself. A lot of times we had an environment where you grow up and you're just trying to survive, and survival is an individual thing a lot of times for people in the inner city. And so the Marine Corps kind of gave me responsibility, put me in charge of other people. They actually, when I got in the Marine Corps, after about 8 months, they separated me from all other Marines. They said I had too much influence. And so, we were stationed in San Diego. I'm from California. Most of the kids from the East Coast, they'd never been here. A lot of them, they wanted to go see what Long Beach looked like. They wanted to see what Compton looked like. So I would take them off the base, and they realized that I had more influence than some of the people that had rank. Mm-hmm. And so they actually separated me, and that was kind of the best decision ever because they separated me. And so when they separate you in the Marine Corps, they put me around all the old Marines, right? Because they wanted to keep me in check. Well, when you're around the older Marines, you got to do you got to take out the trash. You got to, mop the floor because you're the lowest ranking. Mm-hmm. But you also get all their experience. You get to learn what they're learning. You get to do their jobs. The shit they don't want to do, they make you do it. So I was actually in a computer environment, and I was the lowest guy on the rank. So that was a blessing for them to separate me. I wasn't doing the things that the the young lance corporals and sergeants were doing. I was doing the things that people that's been in 19, 20 years are doing. And that was basically a blessing. So when, they had someone that needed to volunteer, they would always send me. Well, volunteering give you more experience.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to do all the things that other people don't want to do, which makes you more valuable. So
that's always amazing to me how like the universe works, where something will happen to you, and then in retrospect, it's like, man, that was the best thing. In the time, it doesn't seem like it initially, but in retrospect, it's like if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am. Like, I have so many stories like that, but that's interesting.
So my family treated me as golden child. My mom moved all the way to Vallejo to keep me out of Oakland. They moved me around, to kind of protect me. And then when I got the Marine Corps, they moving me around to protect other Marines from me. And so, and they protecting other Marines from me. They sending me to Korea. They sending me to Japan. They sending me all these other places. I get experience in, being from where I'm from. I was always taught it's all about relationships. And so, they sending me all these different places, and they thinking I'm gaining influence in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, me and Corey talk about that often. Like, people don't recognize that relationships are its own form of currency, right? Relationships have value. Is more important than actual money. Way
more, because if you surround it, so the environment and relationships. So if your environment is bad, the relationship is going to struggle. You get outside the environment where the environment is a little bit, you can just add water. Those relationships is going to blossom. And everything around you is going to grow. And so I like to say, people in the hood, that's why they put us in concrete buildings and projects. It's hard to see growth in that environment. Mm-hmm. But you get outside in the field, and you got open space and you got outdoors, there's no limitations. And so the environment and relationships matters a ton.
Yeah, man. Great point. So coming from the military, coming from your military background, how did you end up in finance? I know you had worked in finance, for a big industry for a while. How that story happen?
Bro, I go in the Marine Corps. They paying me $400 every 2 weeks, $800 to try to live off. And I used to roll dice and make $2,200 in 10th grade. So I was, I've always been smart, but I was good at statistics. I could play roulette, dice, pity pack, spades. So, the thing when I went to Marine Corps, they paying us, and I had some of the older dudes that was out there. They was like, this is not no money, and so they was like, how they get you is they basically allow you to accumulate debt. They allow you to get yourself in debt. So when your 4 years is up, they be like, well, don't you want this bonus? You can pay off all your debt. You have to give us 4 more years. I knew that from the start. I knew when I went in that, hey, to me, someone's gonna get hustled. Is either they're gonna hustle me or I'm gonna win. And so my thing was like, well, while I'm in here, I got the GI Bill. I started going to college. I was going to Long Beach State, and also I joined Prime America. And Prime America was financial services. I didn't, of course, they want you to go sell it to your mom and your daddy and call your 20 people. I never called nobody. I went there and got sponsored. I got my licensing while I was in. And so when I got out the Marine Corps, I actually had series, I think it was 6 and 7. I could sell insurance and mutual funds, but I went in there to learn for myself, because when I was in the hood, I was in Oakland and I would get shipped over to San Francisco. I would see stockbrokers. I would see people in the nice suits celebrating 9/11 at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, man, my mom woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. She had to bus me to my grandpa's house. And then from there, I had to walk to the BART station and hop on the BART and go across this bridge. And these dudes, they celebrate. They all smiling. I'm tired. My mama tired. My family tired. So I'm looking at the financial tree like, man, all these dudes are happy early in the morning. Some of these people, they going home at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I'm still, we delayed. The BART sometimes would stop, and you would be delayed 30, 40 minutes and they not worried. They didn't have nowhere to be. And so I realized that I was always intrigued by what was going on the other side of the bridge. And, they looked happier, they dressed nice. And I didn't have nobody in my family that could tell me about stocks, options. When I asked my mom, there was a critical point too. I wanted to start a clothing store. And I was like, Mom, I got the cash. I just need you to co-sign for me. She's like, man, that's too much work. You don't want to own that. You don't. And that was the mentality, God bless her, you know, she worked her whole life, but she was like, that's too much work, you know, management. It sucked. It's like, don't stress your, you know, you don't want to start the story and stress your life out.
Mm-hmm.
That was just her trying to protect me from her point of view, you know, and that was at 16, I wanted to have a business, bro. And you know, my thing was like, you know, I always believe in ownership because, you know, when you out in the streets, you know, it's you don't want to be the man on consignment all the time. You want
Not at all.
So it was always about ownership, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, not at all. So you went to Primerica, and from Primerica, you know, what was the next step in your journey to lead you to kind of where you are?
So I mean, so I had an older brother that, you know, rest in peace. You know, his thing was real estate. You know, he was like, hey, bro, we get this money, we gonna flip it in real estate. You know, we got a carpet cleaning business, and he moved to New Orleans, and he, you know, being from California and flossing, he actually was killed. And you know, now that always stuck with me is like, when we get this money, we getting up out of here, like outside this environment. And in the town, my family's known, and so we was a man there. We went somewhere else. You know, he just another guy. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't work out, but that stuck with me. So when I got in the military and I got out, I was Prime America. I started buying property in Long Beach. I bought condos. They was doing condo conversions. They were doing apartment conversions to condos, and it was like 30,000. And this is when Snoop was popping. You know,
Wow.
596. And
I'm not even going to ask you what those $30,000 condos are going for in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're like 500, but back then, I mean, I flipped them and I sold them for 150, 210. So as a 22-year-old dude with 200 stacks in the bank, you know, off of a couple of condos I bought for 30,000. I mean, I wish I would have kept them, but that gave me a jump start. You know, it gave me a jump start. I bought some more properties in Corona. Then, you know, one day I was like, I got a job at Pacific Life, and it was an annuities place. And one of the older dudes told me like, hey, bro, this job is too good for you. If you stay here, you're going to retire here. And he, you know, he was an older dude. He was, you know, he was just looking out like, you know, this is a retirement home. You know, they pay you too well. He's like, I've been here for 20 years, and you know, I wish I would have moved around because I would have made more. He's like, now they're gonna get rid of me, and I've been here for 20 years, and I can't go nowhere else because nobody else is gonna pay me what I'm getting paid for, and I'm kind of stuck. And so he told me that, and I was only working there for like a year and a half, and I was like, you know, I was still buying real estate, and I was like, you know what? I bought a house in Corona.
Mm-hmm.
I basically like I sold everything and just hopped in my car, had my clothes, and I went to AZ, and I was like, man, I'm gonna do this real estate for real. And so, you know, I go out there. I found an apartment off the side of the freeway. I signed a lease. I didn't have I sold all my furniture. I sold everything. I had money in the bank. I was like, I'm gonna go to AZ and be a real estate Mungo. And I rented an apartment. I went to Aaron Rentals, got some rental furniture. All I had was my clothes, and you know, from there I put my deposit on a couple of new builds, you know, 10 grand, you know, on this one. And by the time they were done, they were like 180. I was putting them on. By the time they were done, they was worth 270. And so I just started flipping property in AZ, and I had the computer background. You know, I actually went to Long Beach State, got computers, built the CRM system. You know, back then it was like a website with the managed people coming in. I had so many leads coming in, bro. I just started a real estate company. Okay. And I told the agents, you know, we partner 50-50. All your leads, you can have 100% and you can close them on your own. And, you know, I didn't have a real estate license at the time. I bought a broker. My thing was like, if you want to start a hospital, you don't got to go to school to be a medical doctor. You can just go hire one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a real estate license. I got a building, signed the lease, and I hired a broker. And I was running a real estate company and just giving out the leads. And we was doing a 50-50 split. And so, you know, I still had the financial background. I've always been, you know, I tell people what we teach in DCG is timing. It's all about timing, right? So I got in the real estate market at the right time. And then when I seen that it was 2009, I was doing 50-50 splits. But I had got a business coach, and I was like, bro, like, you know, I got in this real estate. I thought it was going to be, you know, I'm making money, but I was like, I still don't have no weekends. I just had a newborn, you know, every weekend I got the homies from the hood flying in. and they're not just, they want to buy property, and of course they people I want to work with. But when they come in, it's like, all right, well, yeah, you buy the property. Now let's go out to the club, the strip club. We're doing everything else. And it's like, it's the whole weekend. I'm away from the family, and I'm doing real estate. And I was like, I need to get out of this. And it's like, I already had the business, but I started getting more and more offices. So when the market crashed in 2008, 2009, it was probably the best thing to happen.
Another one of those situations, right? I could probably, without even asking, at the time, you probably didn't realize it was the best thing to happen.
Nah, but I was trying, me, I was already, bro, I had a high blood. I was burnt out and I was making money, but I couldn't stop. Because my thing was I wanted to hire, I was feeding people. I had over 7 people working with me. And these are people that they depended on the environment that we curated. And so when the market hit, some of these guys on 1099, they basically was like, well, damn, now everything is in short sales. So I started losing people. So it gave me a reason to kind of downsize.
Got you.
Because it got too big. And that's the hardest thing for a small business. It's hard for a small business to go to a large business. That middle is where people fail. When you try to make that transition, because it's a whole different level of management. Just the easy thing, the small business, easy transactions. But when you start getting to managing people and operating and logistics and spending on advertising and the numbers get bigger and bigger, if you don't know, so I actually got a business coach. I was like, bro, I got 3 offices now. I got all these agents. I'm a psychologist, people dropping deals, and then when they start, I was like, man, he was like, this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity to cash out and leave, and so he asked me things like, what is your perfect day? And so I started telling him like, yeah, man, riding my motorcycle, going up, seeing the beach, I said walking and doing homework with my kids. And, I was married at the time. Mm-hmm. And I didn't mention my wife. I didn't mention being in AZ. I mentioned being back in Cali, being by the water. And so he was like, bro, you got to get a divorce. You got to sell your business and you got to go back and have your, he's like, you just did this exercise and, it took like a week because you write down every minute and every second of that day of what day would you want to live over and over again if you had to live.
Interesting.
Right. So you don't have to wait till you're 50 to 60 to retire. What day is it right now? How do you want to live? And so when you go through that exercise of how do you want to live right now, and you have to live the same day over and over again, it's like, well, yeah, I want to see my mom. I want to, take her out. I want to have margaritas. I want to be able to drink on the job. Like all this shit that I want to do day in, day out. When I put it in, my life wasn't like that. And he was like, well, you're the creator. You can create the life you want. And so I was like, he's a business coach.
Man, that's a gem. That's a gem right there. Let me stop real quick right there for the folks watching or listening. You might want to do that. I think I'm sitting there thinking like, what is my day? As you say that, I'm like, I need to go do this myself. Write this down, right? What does your day look like? And you can go create that. You're the creator. You're the creator. And so, in DCG, that's why we had a morning formula. We have our master plan for our life. You have a trading plan for trading, but you got to have a master plan for your life. And that's what I learned during that time of 2008, 2009. And then I was like, bro, I never want to have employees again. I was like, like I'm done with trying to manage people. And then the thing my mom, planted that seed in me at 16. So I'm like, you don't want no business. You don't want to have managing people and all that. I was like, I still want to help and have an impact, but I have to rearrange how I do it, And so, the model that I have now is kind of was created, but how I got into trading is that he was an older dude that he was like, yeah, bro, I ain't got time to be day trading. He's like, I coach people and, I'm money in the stock market. So when I started liquidating properties in 2008, 2009, I was like, bro, like, all right, so what's next? And then, he's been a trader. I've been seeing him living and going out, taking me out, and we hanging out, talking about the business, eating at nice restaurants all time of day. And he's like, yeah, I trade. I'm in the stock market. And so my first trade was in 2009 when I traded before, on my own trying to, but he kind of taught me how the market cycles and how it's cynical. Like every season you have different things you can trade. And it wasn't no stress. His trades were 2-3 months at a time, and it's like, oh yeah, our cash out was up 30%, 40%. And he would go through a rotation. And so he really taught me about market cycles and another way to trade where it's like, you don't have to be a long-term investor, but there's patterns in the market. And that's
He was like, well, how did people trade before the internet? You know, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, there ain't nobody looking at, you know, charts. There's seasonal patterns and trades that you can make in every market. And so that's how I got into futures. That's how I got into commodities, you know, and from there, you know, I was flipping houses. So, you know, 400,000 or 500,000 to put on the house. You know, my first trade, I think it was like 100,000, you know, in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
And in about 4 or 5 months later, I bought in 2009. That's when everything was crashing.
Yeah.
And it reminds me again, it's about timing.
Timing, yep.
I was selling, and a year later, things I bought then had already recovered. And so that was a temporary thing. So then I was like, man, this is easy. Well, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. I'm liquidating properties. I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm moving from Arizona and going through child, you know, saying who's gonna keep my little daughter while I move to California. And then I end up, you know, I was like, look, I'll move you, and we'll both move to California to give our kid a better lifestyle. And we worked that out. And then it was like, I got into trading, you know, and I went back to what I knew with CRMs. And I got a job with like T3 trading. And then I became an analyst, and you know, then I started trading my own money. Then I got offered to manage a desk at a hedge fund.
Okay.
You know, they had a Forex side, and they wanted to get into crypto. And at that point, it's like the military thing of volunteering, going first. You know, that's what crypto reminded me. Hey, I'll just be the first in.
So what was that experience like at the hedge fund? Like, what did you learn at the hedge fund to lead you to where you are now?
I learned that you needed a team. Like, you know, we had analysts. You had a psychologist, person giving massages. I just learned that there's not one person pushing a button. You have to be able to tell your if you're moving a lot of money, you have to be able to move that money in and out the market without being seen. And also, it has to be strategic. Mm-hmm. And so the whole trading side of just waking up and trading that you see, you know, I got in groups like Timothy Sykes, and they trading penny stocks. That's not how, you know, that'll drive you crazy if you haven't been able to define a strategy to start. So I just learned the organization and the process of moving money in and out the market, and risk management. You know, at certain firms, they hedge the trade. They'll trade oil and gas, or oil and gold. You know, they'll have certain pairs that they'll put you into certain trades. And so you know, the ETFs, you know, traders, they in a large institution size, they don't trade like individuals. And that was that's a big revelation.
Yeah.
Nobody trades alone.
Yeah.
You know, and the most successful traders, they trade within a group environment.
That's powerful right there, right? Because a lot of times we find ourselves out on the island and trying to do things on our own, but it's so much power in working together, like in all facets of life, but specifically when you talk about trading and even investing. Like when you have more than one eyes on things, it just changes. The dynamic changes everything.
We're not born on earth to live alone, right? You know, and that's why you have gangs. That's why you have police gangs. That's why you had the military gangs,
political parties, all of it.
Yeah, all of it. We are people that are together. But when we come from the inner city, we're taught we got to be self-made. We got to do it on our own. Like I'm gonna get this guap. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And it's like, you know, and you basically are divided. And so, you know, I learned that from younger age, being around the OGs, the Black Panthers, being around the dudes in the Marine Corps. It's like, you know, it is togetherness that keeps, you know, you at a certain level and gets you to the next level. You know, I've learned.
One of the things about you telling your story, which is interesting to me, is that you always you're coachable, right? Because when you talked about being in the military and, you know, having the older people that give you game there, you were willing to listen. When you talked about the insurance guy giving you game, you were willing to listen. You had a coach that, you know, gave you game, you were willing to listen. And I think that's an important part to like just point out that throughout this whole journey of you telling your story, you've been coachable.
Bro, I don't learn like reading a book. I've learned through the older people. I've learned through, I mean, you know, we talk about being Black and having ancestors, but we don't want to learn from the older experience. Ooh. You know,
oh man. He just set the whole thing on fire. This is something that I talk
That's a
about
word.
incessantly. I talk about this incessantly. Like if how do you heed the advice of the ancestors and then don't listen to what the ancestors tell you? Like our ancestors really dropped game on it and then we didn't build on it. We literally sat on it. Like they created a pathway and then we sat down on the path instead of walking the path they created for us because we don't listen. We first of all we don't read, and then once we read, we don't listen. So
Well,
like it's a mess.
I
And
like to say
so
that people are on their BS. They on that bullshit. And
Mm-hmm.
when I say BS, I mean belief system. It is the belief system that they have. Either they don't believe in me, they don't believe in you, or they don't believe in themselves. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is a belief system. And a lot of times our older ancestors, they be giving us game and our elders, and we may look at them like, oh, well, I don't believe them, or they on that BS, and it's like, nah, bro, you on the BS. Like you can get value from every person that you're around. And I learned that in the military.
Yep.
We had dudes that couldn't cut it, right? And to be real, it's like, bro, when a bullet started flying, he could be a shield. Everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't disregard anyone. Everybody has value. And even the old wino, that's on the street and you overpass him. I was taught that, hey, brother, don't overpass him, don't overlook him. He can tell you about the story of how he got there, so you can avoid that.
Yep.
And so everybody has value. And I look at, I'm from that environment where it's like, hey, my best friend, got 20 years from being in the car and didn't want to tell. And it wasn't his. And I was like, with the homie, he should have took that for you.
Yeah.
But he's serving 20 and it's like, bro, you threw your life away. And that's why you have to know if some people you just can't be around.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because they not stand up. And so, from in my environment, if you're not stand up, you got to stay away from me.
That's facts. That's facts. So now you're at the hedge fund. How'd you go from there to creating your entity now that the DCG digital currency guy? How'd you get from the hedge fund to that point?
My thing, bro, is you learn from people, and like I've never been in an environment where I wanted to be under somebody's hand. Sometimes you have to put the sacrifice in to learn from others, but I didn't have anybody I can talk to on the hedge fund side. So I had to take that opportunity to learn, and I wanted to go in there and see what they were doing. And of course, it was, I wanted to get a paycheck. They was paying me $25,000 a month. And I also wanted to learn. So it was really for me, I tell my daughter all the time, like, before you can be the boss, you got to be the employee. You got to take out the trash. You got to do everything. And I learned that in the Marine Corps. They put me in and they had me around all the old dudes. I did everything from the bottom up. And so, if I wanted to get in finances and he's teaching me how to trade, the mentor I had, it's like, well, it's some things that he can't teach me that might be inside that fund. And so the whole time I'm there, and they had me driving up like 45 minutes in LA to West Covina and like just traveling. And at one point I was like, I'm taking a lot of time. I'm wasting my life, because once, just like a job, once you be there for 6-7 months, you pretty much learned everything you can learn. Mm-hmm. And then if you're not learning, you're not growing, you die. And so once I reach a peak, it's like, man, now I can go get this information back to the hood, back to my people. And that's what my thing was. Like, I didn't have anybody to give me any financial information. I had to go through years of learning it. And so even at the fund, I was like, I don't want to sell out for money. I don't want to be here just because they giving me a nice check. I can go take this money and do it on my own now. And so in crypto, I seen the opportunity that there was no experts, because they wanted me to run a crypto desk, right? They wanted me to compare how much profits they can make off of crypto compared to their Forex. And
what is it about crypto, right? When you saw it that just made you just gravitate to it and say, this is where I want to be? Like, what was it about cryptocurrency in general?
Well, one of the dudes, I had a dude that sold marijuana. He said, he was moving stuff. He was out of Washington, and he had came out to buy some real estate in Arizona in 2010. And he came to my office, or he came to my house actually. And I had a home office, and he was like, man, let's, you got to get in this digital money. And of course, he's moving weight back then in 2009 and buying real estate. And I'm like, man, we got tons of money. So I'm like, all right, bro, he's talking about this Bitcoin. I was like, man, I ain't never heard of that, blah, blah, blah. It's 2010. And he's like, here, we can buy some. I'm like, all right, I'll buy some. I'm like, how much? He's like, just buy $100. So we get on the computer. I signed up for a local Bitcoin account. And then he's like, oh, now we have to go to 7-Eleven so we can wire the money. I'm like, what you mean? I was like, bro, he's like, oh no, you got to wire the $100. I like, so I just bought so I'm buying some digital money. Then I had to go to a 7-Eleven and I have to go wire some money to some dude. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro,
so you was early. You talking about 2010? That's early. Bro,
I didn't do it. I was like, man, I got an account for 2010 and I didn't put no money in because you had to go wire some money. And I had too much pride and ego. Like, I was like, broke motherfuckers go wire money on MoneyGram and Western Union. Like, I'm thinking like, that's what from that environment, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't wire that money because you wouldn't be here today. That $100 probably be like $40 million. You wouldn't even be here today. So I'm glad you had too much pride to wire the money.
I mean, because it was the whole fact that we sitting in my house and we got drink. We talking business. We buying $300 houses. He's like, man, we got to go to 7-Eleven and go wire some money to somebody that's on the line. Man, that's too much work. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, just buy it right here because I'll throw $100 away.
Because even right now that sounds crazy. So imagine how that sounded back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Somebody came over your house. Y'all doing real estate, and he's like telling you about this new money that's going to come out and it's virtual. And I was like, well, where's it going to be stored at? And then he's like, on your computer. And then he's like, well, we got to go to 7-Eleven though and wire this money to who? the black dark man that's on the screen name.
Yeah, that's insane.
It doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, bro.
It don't sound right, but
so how was it reintroduced to you where it started to make sense? What was that like?
I'm at T3 Trading. They got a prop firm. They got a desk. I get a hedge fund manager from another firm, and he comes in. He's like, we're doing high frequency programming. Like, they trying to make their own algorithms. Mm-hmm. And so the guy, he was like, hey man, I got a prop firm over here. He's coming there to kind of scout people from one trading environment to another. I mean, that's how you take people. So he go over there. He's like, hey man, just give me a call if you want to come over here. And so I called him one time and I started working with him, and he's like, yeah, we got this Forex desk and they making money, but the crypto. And I see other crypto traders starting to, kind of like he losing people. People are leaving the fund and they go into the crypto side because they can take a little bit of money and make a lot more. And so they don't need if you can make money, you don't need to take nobody else's money. Mm-hmm. So they start losing traders, and then he's like, like, how do we get into this? And so it was basically like a special project, and I always volunteered. I was like, well, I'll look into it, and I started looking into it, and after like 3 months, I put like 5 in, and it turned in like 15, and then it caught my attention because it's like, I didn't even know like how fast it was growing. And then as I got more and more into it, I started managing traders and brought some traders in, and they started, trading it, and they were making a ton of money. And then he was like, all right, and it started becoming like, let's get bigger. And I was like, they paying me 25 grand a month. And I'm like, bro, like, I didn't want no job. And so I understood why people were leaving, and I left. I was like, I can do this on my own.
It's crazy though. How many folks out there will be willing to walk away from a job paying them 25 grand a month? Like, so obviously, you wired different and you were looking for something different, which is dope. But I know that people watching this probably like, he walked away from 25 grand a month. Most people wouldn't be able to do that.
He called me. He came. He invited me in as a partner. Hey, we want to get into this and thing. Then all of a sudden he telling me be here in the office, and then all of a sudden he's telling me, hey, we need some more traders. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, damn, bro, I'm working for you. My wife is like, oh, he called, you got to leave. And when she said that, it was like,
Oh,
Oh,
hit that ego. Like, yeah,
shit.
you're right.
she played you hard.
Yeah, she's like, oh, he told you gotta go. And she said, "So you got a job to me." And at that point, I was like, "Oh yeah, bro. Like I'm done." And so, right, because at the end of the day, you trying to be a team player and you trying to help, but then you realize, shit, you are the help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I was like, all right, so at that point, I think my man Anthony, rest in peace. He basically was on Facebook and he knew that I was a really really trading. He was like, bro, like everybody here, they want to learn how to trade. The crypto thing, they don't understand it. He was like, can you just come talk to the people for a couple of times? And then I was like, yeah. So I did, and I was in the group. I was telling him what was going to happen and things. He was like, man, how you know? And then he started sending people. He's like, well, if you want more advanced, go talk to Jamar. Go talk to Jamar. And so he was like, bro, you need to start your own group. And so he telling me, I'm like, man, it's on Facebook. I'm just having fun. I'm talking about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Around 2016, I says, hey, if anybody want to learn how to do, I think it was starting in 2017. Anybody that want to learn how to do crypto or learn how to trade, I'm gonna open up I'm gonna work with you guys. I'm gonna have a group. And I did that, and the first time I did that on social media, I had like 140 people sign up in a weekend off of Facebook, and this is before people were like trying to market the groups, and I was just like, damn, like like people really wanted it because I didn't have no intentions on being DCG. I was like, all right, I'm just digital currency guy, and then I didn't think it out, I didn't plan it out, and I just started helping guys, and of course, it was timing. I started 2017, the beginning of 2017. So of course, I knew how to trade. I've been doing it for a while, but I got touched by the market. The market just started going up. Everybody winning around me, and that legendary status came because of time. It was like, if
timing, the timing part, right? You talk about that a lot. Like timing is everything.
Timing is everything. And so, we had that run in 2017, and my thing was like, well, nah, we really can trade. So you got to sell. 2018, a lot of people start falling off. There was nobody around. And in business, when you see everybody retracting, everybody, going in the shell. When I see in 2008, 2009, everybody going in the shell. Well, all the people around me in my environment, that's when you expand. That's when you get bigger because now you have no competition. Yep. So as a salesperson, if you see everything raining, all the other salespeople are inside, they being comfortable. That's when you go outside and go door to door knocking when everybody else is raining because their door not gonna get knocked on by nobody else. Yeah. And so that turned into anytime you see something and you see people contracting, that's when you expand. And that's when I said, hey, you know what? Well, all these guys is disappearing and leaving. The people that wanted the information is still there. They still there. And I don't want to, I'm not selling to them, but this is when I can help the most of people. Because a lot of people were stuck with all this crypto, they don't know what to do with it. People abandoned them. And so 2018, 2019, when the market was down, that's when I really started going hard on teaching people how to trade. Cause like this is when you can learn. Yep. This is when the skill comes in. So if you can make money in a bear market, in a market where money is leaving, then when the market come back up, man, I'm gonna have the biggest and strongest team. And that was my foresight. It's like, when the market comes back, if I teach all these guys and give them everything I got, we're gonna be unstoppable. It's gonna be easy, like picking fish out of a barrel.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. That's an amazing story, man. How you started from where you did to that whole journey, man. And the one thing I'm taking from this conversation is like that idea to be coachable and to be teachable is very important. I mean, that's what resonates to me throughout this story.
I paid for coaching because I had to volunteer to get it in the Marine Corps, and I had to volunteer. And circumstance now, it's like I know that you can take what someone else has, and you can make it yours, right? But every idea a man has come from another man's imagination.
That's a bar too. Sheesh, that's right. A bar right there, Corey. That's a quotable right there.
All right.
So he preaching out here today.
Every idea a man has come from another man's imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we build on that. We build. Right.
That's exactly what I was saying when our ancestors give us something, they paved the road for us. Just walk the road. You know what I mean? Like you could take it and create something a lot larger. That's what they was hoping for. You know what I mean? Like they was hoping for you to build on what they did instead of just sitting in the middle of the road and just what I mean, watching the world pass you by. Like
Right.
they built it so that you can build upon it, not so that you can sit on it and rest on it. Like you can't rest on their laurels. You have to build upon that. And
Right.
that's what we've ended up doing. We ended up resting on our ancestors' laurels instead of building upon them.
Well, let me ask you this. Go ahead, Jamar. Go ahead.
Once we know that we're not here alone, and that's when I see people, they see me as competition because they said, hey, bro, he's reaching out to everybody. But I see him as, like you say, we collaborate. Like I'll put another mind together with mine, my imagination, his imagination. We have infinite possibilities now. Nothing can stop us, right? And so, the people that look at me as competition, and they're like, man, he's growing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I want to grow with them. I want you to come in because now your idea is going to get stuck in your head unless you get around other people. And you get around other people that's smart and want to work with you. Now that idea expands and gets a lot bigger faster.
Yeah, man, and we believe that too. That's why we try to partner with like the brightest minds and work together. Like you said, when you work together, it makes everything easier. Let me ask you this question though: throughout your journey from where you started in the Bay to where you are now, you have this amazing organization. What has been your biggest hurdle? The biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
I've always been taught that you can't trust people. You don't know who's looking for your downfall, who's going to rob you. We've been programmed to do things on our own. And I had people around me that they didn't want to move like I wanted to move, but I try to keep forcing the issue. Like, hey, bro, we need to work together. We need to buy this. We need to do this. Trying to bring people together that don't want to come together has been probably the biggest obstacle. And the thing is that you got to, you sometime in the universe, you'll double back and go get them. But, when I started a real estate company, I realized that I was trying to give everybody opportunity, Hispanics, Blacks. I was trying to get people out the hood to come with me. And I was actually trying to lift a lot of weight that couldn't be lifted, where I could have spent more time and had a bigger impact helping the people that wanted to come. And so, now, the mentality is I don't slow down the car. People got to jump in the car and we can take them to where we want to go. And then we can double back and get the people that don't want that need the help. But at some point, like when I first started real estate, I was trying to do the low income housing, trying to sell it and trying to get first time homeowners, bro. Like that was a lot of heavy lifting. And when I started marketing to the affluent and started putting myself in that environment up there, I can go buy a house for a person now. I gave a house away, you know what I'm saying? But you have to get the resources. And so that's something that, in the community, the Black Panthers, they accept the help from anybody because they motive and their objectives meant more to them than the pride and the ego of trying to do a lot of heavy lifting on their own.
Gotcha.
And so you want to go to the path of least resistance, and I think that is that's the win. When I started going to path of least resistance and I started just being real, like, hey, look, I'm not gonna try to work with the homies. They don't want to work with me. I go work with the people that do. I'm not gonna spend any time on trying to heavy lift when I can go to the least path of resistance and get to where I need to go, and then I'll double back.
Man, okay, that's the great. I understand exactly what you're saying because a lot of us go through that with the people closest to us, right? You try to, tell them, things that you learn or what have you. Then a lot of times they're not ready. So,
I didn't ever want to leave Oakland, bro. I thought, the Bay Area. I got a black fist tattooed on me. Like, I was Bay forever. But when I left, I realized that environment was keeping me in a box. I couldn't grow as much. I needed to leave. And so when people ask me, it's like, yeah, bro, like, I'm from the hood, but I'm never going back because it's not mine.
Yeah. Well, right? See, that's the thing, right? So, and that's one of the amazing things about like why we do this podcast, because everybody has their own story and their own journey, right? So you recognize that was holding you back. So in order for you to grow, you had to leave that environment, right?
I had to leave the environment.
Yeah. But the thing is though, right? So but you still found a way to help your people. And that's what the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to help your people.
Is to help people.
You can leave an environment, but it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talk about in game banging. It's not on you, it's in you. It don't matter if I wear blue or red, baby.
That's right. That's right. Let me ask you another question though. What is like your favorite book or something that's inspired you along your journey?
I mean, I probably got three. I mean,
Okay, go ahead. Give us three. Give us three.
I mean, Malcolm X. Of course, every kid where I'm from read Malcolm X, and just the transformation. Of saying that, before I can be Malcolm X, and while Malcolm Little, Big Red,
That's right.
You go through stages, and people go through their own cycles, and so you have allow people to grow. And some people don't want to see you grow because it makes them feel like they're staying the same. So I used to always say I didn't want to change. I'm the same dude in the hood, but it's like, nah, bro, like it's growth. I got to change. And so Malcolm X is one. The other is, the Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield.
Okay.
Right, because basically it awoke me. I didn't know what a third eye was. Nobody where I was from was talking about third eye and talking about energy and spirituality in a way. Religion turned me off, but Celestine it made me realize that it's in us. Certain energy is in us ourselves. So that was another. And then you have certain people. You got to realize that certain people make you feel a certain way, right? And some people come with bad energy, and if you're not aware of that, you hang around people that you don't know that they're intuitive and counterproductive to what you're trying to do. Yeah. So energy is big. And so that woke me up on energy. And then of course the whole DCG is built on Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the mastermind principles. Right. And we're putting people together. And you can work with everyone, because I was taught that I got to do it on my own, got to be self-made. And that mastermind principle told these dudes are doing it together. They're putting a whole another aspect to your energy's got to be right. You just go with the right people.
Yep. Oh man, those are three great choices right there, man.
So
yeah, three great choices. So Corey, you got any questions for the good brother before we got it?
Questions? No. I do have commentary though. I appreciate that, the way he shared his story, from the beginning to how he got to the places he is, and how he got to the point where he wanted to share and be, and not try to, like we all come from that kind of background on what the people here, because, we from Philly. So everything you talk about that happened on the West Coast was happening on the East Coast at the same time. So we grew up, we around the same age. We all know it.
Listen, DJ Quick told you, man, it's just like Compton. Everywhere is just like Compton. But go ahead though.
But what I wanted to say is that I'm glad that you've taken the time and the effort to really reach into, and get into people and help people as a collective, because that's what we're trying to do. And so, I really appreciate that. That energy, like you said, that energy, like we had a previous conversation. I'm an energy person. If I don't like somebody's energy, I don't bang with them, period.
Yeah. So you got a feeling, you got an intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say for the folks listening, whether you listen to the audio podcast, which according to our analytics, about 87% of you are, but if you're watching also, to understand that DCG, which is Jamar's group, is very powerful, and we have partnered with them, right? Yeah. So if you go to Buy the Hood University, you'll see right on there to enter for the mastermind group, as well as the monthly reports, right? Which are powerful because like he's giving you the game ahead of time, so you already know. It's interesting because Russell, and shout out to Russell, who's been on here before. He was the first one to show me, like, I could tell you on this day that this is going to be like a bear market, and I'm like, come on, no, you can't. And then and then it played out that way, and I was like, all right, man, I'm a believer, man. Like, you see it happen a couple of times, and you're like, okay, I'm a believer. So the monthly reports are powerful, but also the group in general. Here's what I'll say, and anyone who's been like, following what we're doing, how crazy I've been going about NFTs. They take this to another level, yo. Like, first of all, I felt like most people look at me like I'm alien when I start talking about NFTs until, I started banging with DCG, and I'm like, okay, they worse than I am, right? Because they know about the drops on every site. So they really get to it, and it's a very, very powerful community. And anyone who's part of our community already know how big we are in community. We partner with the brightest minds, and now we have a cryptocurrency legend amongst us, and we want to make sure that, we continue to grow and continue to share this information and continue to help our people. and partnering with DCG will allow us to do that. So I want to say thank you for that as well, brother.
Nah, man, I want to thank you guys as well. I mean, like, one of my big things is that everybody has value, but it's about being authentic. And you brothers are, as real as it gets, authentic. The good heart, and the same thing. It's like we can't follow somebody else's path. We make our own, and we come together, and it becomes something really special when we move like this, and we basically invite people in that have the same type of energy,
That's right.
and it grows organically, and it's all real. And so that's the most important thing that we can have. When we say we from the hood, man, you keep it real, be authentic, and that gets us a lot further. It's like we don't have to compromise for nothing.
That's right. That's right. So, and for the folks out there, please make sure you go check that out. Go to bodyhooduniversity.com and check that out. I'm going to also put Jamar's social media contact within the description so you can follow, see what he's got going on, because, he's continuing to build, he's continuing to grow. So what's the future look like for you, Jamar? What do you see in the future?
So right now, man, we buying, we got all this crypto money, and we've been blessed to be able to do it, but we want to start opening up co-working spaces, trading locations. They have online trading academy, and they bring these, educational buildings, right? I don't believe college is going to be the same in the future. And I believe, you don't have to go through something 4 years to make a living, And so one of the things that touched me is like my elders, my mom, like worked 30 years and she probably went to like 2 of my basketball games. The family unit is the most important unit you have in your life, right? The family unit. And if the family is broken apart, it actually destroys the world, And so in the Black community and in regular community, we can change the world by making families stronger, but they got to be there together. And so I think trading allows people to be able to be home. I mean, I don't miss a softball game. And so my really mission is bring families together, create the family that you want, build real assets where people can go and meet, because the social media, it has us spread out and we think we're together, but we're really not. The human coming together is important. So we want to buy real estate. We want to buy some churches. We want to buy locations that we can have where we can meet, because in the future, the technology is, they trying to separate us. They trying to have us with masks. They trying to have us, staying away from your neighbor, have distrust. They trying to break people apart. And I'm trying to bring people together. So I see that, my thing is, if I can help guys get resources, help them get more money, they free. They don't got to compromise. And so it's normally the resources that make people compromise. When they don't have money, that's when you got to do that job that you really don't want. And you can't take a day off to go to your kids' play because they got a special report and you don't have the resources. So if I can help guys get resources, I can have more partners. We can buy more. We can have more significance. We can have more impact. And, I see DCG, which is, I don't even call it digital currency, guys, decentralized coaching, right? Decentralized currency. All my guys are everywhere. I got 1 million partners. My bank accounts can be frozen. I still can get paid, and nothing stops me. And so I want to have a bunch of people. 1,000 people is my goal for DCG. 1,000 strong, that we all paid. We all don't have to compromise, and now we have impact. We can go buy some politicians. We can buy some hospitals.
Now you're talking our language.
Good, right? I mean, we can.
You could be, politicians are for sale for those who don't know. That's but anyway, man, listen, that's powerful, man. And and we're going to help you get there, bro, because we're going to work together as a unit. So we just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story and being very transparent with our audience. Because it's important to see that people are making power moves in all sorts of spaces, man. So for the folks out there watching, please check out, go to Bodyhood University, check out, DCG there as well. But also check out Jamar. We're going to put his social media contacts and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think about this episode, man. So, appreciate your time, brother. I know you got to get those alerts out, man. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but just want to say, listen, we definitely appreciate you, and we look forward to this partnership, and we're going to continue to grow.
Each one teach one, baby.
Yes, sir. And for the folks out there, listen, we appreciate you as always. Make sure that you share this episode. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all the good stuff you're supposed to do online. And as we always say, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we shall see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Peace out.